that's going to happen going forward, then why don't you just open up the market so everybody can charge market rates? And then there is a business. What we want is liquidity in the system.
Yes.
So the minister is right. He wants some action in NESI, and he's doing what the law says he should do. But it's up to NEC and other market players to ensure that they give flesh to it in such a manner as it doesn't destabilize the market. What we should want is stability in the market so that there's market confidence to bring in the necessary investments.
Do you think the electricity market is getting a little bit muddled up by the day?
I wouldn't think so. Remember, this is a learning curve, so in some cases you might say it's getting muddled up, but those who are in industry know how to clear the bush paths and everything. But what, like I said, is case that the minister is anxious to move NESI forward. NEC, I'm sure, is also doing the same thing, and so are other market operators. But this must ride on the back of the agreements we have. We must respect the sanctity of these agreements, so that at least it doesn't destabilize.
You mean the privatization agreement?
The privatization agreement
of 2013.
Yes, clearly. I mean, for example, there is what I call the most favored nation provision in many of these agreements. So if any order, any rule, any law creates an advantage for a particular market operator, then all others are automatically entitled to get that advantage. So if you begin a process in which somebody is able to charge above market tariffs, then you can't stop another person from doing it.
What really does the power ministry want? Wants more money very quickly, or they don't want an increase in tariff, but at the same time...
Yeah, I think they're caught between the political risks in increasing tariffs and the pressure. Remember, they're out there with the World Bank looking for more money. They are building new transmission lines. They're encouraging more power stations. They want to utilize gas. So the argument is that power is stranded. So they are caught between and betwixt. How do we do this without necessarily affecting the price? Now, I don't know how they can eat their cake and have it, but what the power ministry wants to do is to open up the sector, which, like I said on paper, it's a good thing, but it must be played according to the rules so that it doesn't create greater disruptions. Otherwise, you would have people enforcing their rights.
How do we deal with this tariff that's looking like, well, it's on paper, but the Power Ministry is taking some portion of it out. Some government agencies are still big-time creditors, yes, debtors to you. How do you deal with it? We all thought that those some billions and billions would have been paid by now.
Absolutely, that's what we all thought. And we've said that many times to the minister and anybody who cares to listen. You must lead by example. If you owe the market, pay the market. There is really no point giving conditions to paying a debt that you owe. It sends the wrong signals to the entire market. And people who feel that they have this entitlement to take power are taking a cue from what the government is doing. So if the government truly wants to create stability, then it should get the budgetary allocation, pay. Once you pay that, there will be liquidity in the system. Then you can begin to look at enforcing other market rules. Otherwise, what is happening is that the entire risk of the market is being borne by the discos, which is very wrong. You create a shortfall, I get a product for a particular sum, I can sell it for beyond a particular sum. And you still expect me to invest in meters, invest in changing my feeders, my substations and all that. It's simply not possible. All these expenditure are a function of price. So if I don't get the right tariff will cure this. But like I said, it's maybe politically not right for them to do that. And if that's the case, then they must find some other ingenious ways of going around it.
Are you making money right now? Is a coal power distribution company making money?
Do you want me to say that to you?
Yes.
On TV?
Yes, on TV. You're not making money?
We're not.
Okay, so for all the discos and GENCOs, the government is a part shareholder.
Sure.
In other words, the same government is losing money.
Absolutely.
Or is not making money.
Absolutely. This is what we keep saying. We are partners in this business. So there's really no point holding us down. We're partners. For as long as you hold me down, at the disco level, you're holding yourself down by 40%. So you really need to open up the market.
So you don't make 60%, the government is not making its 40%.
Absolutely.
Everybody's a loser.
And everybody's a loser. Many of us today are struggling with acquisition finances, with meeting with our cost of operations. As you know, interest rates have gone up, Forex has gone up. I mean, so many factors beyond our control. So we need a proper risk allocation in all of this. So the government needs to continue to play a role, notwithstanding the fact that these enterprises have been privatized. They've done so for the GENCOs with this 701 billion. I don't know how that will entirely play out, but that's a good step. But you must look at the entire value chain. You cannot cherry pick. If you do that, you will create instability in the market.
Would you want 100% private sector owned electricity market, get government out?
At some point, that's where we should go to.
At some point?
At some point, we've got to do that.
Not today?
No, not today. It's going to be incremental. It's going to be incremental. Government.
In other words,
like
you want that 40% of the government to go down to 30, maybe 20, maybe 10?
Progressively. That's ideally what they should do. You do it progressively so that there is some level of stability. That's government's responsibility, because don't forget, most of what we do internally from these blue chip customers that they are now trying to cherry pick, we use what they pay. They probably account for close to 70 to 80%
of our
earnings. And so we use them actually to do some level of cross-subsidization of other users. So if you cherry pick, so what's going to happen to these very people on whose account you are not allowing tariffs to go up?
On which I don't want to say robbing Paul to pay Peter, but again,
you can't do that. Yes, if we force that, then tariffs will go up. One way or the other.
Looks like crossfire.
Crossfire. We need.
And when you lay two cables on each other, it sparks, and there could be blackout.
You understand?
And we have blackout.
You understand that?
Well, let's put some smile on it to start our business.
We'll get there.
But very interesting. Very interesting time. Thank you very much for coming through. We'll keep an eye on your industry. Very, very important. We know this is a very busy executive week, but we thank you very much for coming on the program. George Atomi, who is a director at Eco Power Distribution Company, one of the 11, and one of the juiciest of the discos. I'm not going to allow him to make a response to that. He's here in the studios, but it's one of the juiciest 11 discos power distribution companies. When you hear Eco, that's a lot of money on the table. So, Mr. George Atomi, thank you very much for coming on the program. We got a lot to talk about when we come back after the break. It's MPC decision week. Egypt raised its interest rate unexpectedly today. That's raised the interest rate to 16.75%. How will Nigeria's central bank decide tomorrow, 24 hours down the line? Let's keep that open. We'll come back to you after the break.